Let's talk about something that we've been keeping our eye on here, which is a number of states, in terms of homeowners insurance, are becoming virtually uninsurable. It's a huge issue for homeowners, on top of housing costs being out of control. Premiums in Florida in particular have been absolutely skyrocketing as they have been facing catastrophic hurricane after catastrophic hurricane. Some of the most expensive disasters in history have taken place in that state. And so we've got another insurer that is pulling out of the state, making things even more difficult. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. So Farmers has now joined Bankers Insurance, Lexington Insurance, which is a subsidiary of AIG, and withdrawing from the market just since last year. So multiple major insurers just pulling out of the market completely. Again, this is not just a Florida problem, although it may be the worst in Florida. It is a huge problem in California because of wildfires, huge problem in Colorado also because of wildfires, Texas, Louisiana. There are a number of states that are really struggling with this. And by the way, these huge floods that we just had in New England are going to exacerbate problems for them there as well. This piece from The Guardian was, I think, really powerful because they actually talked to some of the residents in the state that are struggling with this. And what they're seeing is that as homeowners insurance is getting completely unaffordable, normal, middle class, working class, longtime residents of Florida are being pushed out. And guess who's coming in to gobble up their homes? It is permanent capital. It is, these gigantic Wall Street investors who are snapping up a lot of the Florida real estate that is being made available by these homeowners that are being pushed out. They say in this piece that climate change is threatening the very existence of some parts of Florida. The costs are being felt by Floridians. At the end of 2022, average annual property insurance premiums had already risen to more than $4,200 in Florida. That is 3 times the national average. I saw estimates, I did a monologue on this a while ago, that the estimate is that they're going to see another 40% increase in homeowners insurance costs just this year. They spoke to one resident, I think this guy was in Vero Beach, who said, none of my immediate neighbors have hurricane insurance. Various of them are now trying to self-insure, meaning they're trying to build up pots of money to pay for possible damages, which is a huge risk and probably will not work. Some of them were rejected by citizens, for instance, for not having sufficient storm coverings on their windows and could not afford other insurance. To make matters worse, the Republican legislature basically gave like a giant giveaway to the industry, created a big bailout fund for them, made it more difficult for homeowners to sue some of these property insurers who have been out and out scamming them, especially in the wake of Hurricane Ian. Put this up on the screen from Politico. They say that Hurricane Ian battered these middle-class beach communities. Repair costs finished them off. That hurricane's assault on Southwest Florida is speeding a transition already occurring in some of the state's coastal communities, driving out middle and working class people, replacing them with deep-pocketed buyers in the waterfront cities of Fort Myers Beach and Cape Coral. Even homeowners with flood insurance are finding they cannot afford the cost of rebuilding their houses to modern building codes as federal rules demand. And part of that is, as I was saying, there was a whole investigation, a series of investigations into the fact that many of these homeowners, even the ones that had insurance, were basically scammed by their insurers, which were these fly-by-night operations. Since the big guys are pulling out of the state, they're either giving them pennies of what they actually are owed, or they're tying them up in paperwork and not paying out at all for the damage that has been incurred to their property. So this is a huge deal in Florida, but it is a growing deal across the country, really, Saagar.
This is a major senior issue, too. So I did the math here. So at $4,200 is the average annual premium. That's $350 a month. Not vast majority, but a large portion of people who are seniors rely almost entirely on Social Security. Their average monthly retirement benefit right now for Social Security recipients is only $1,700 a month. So $350 of that is just going to your freaking home insurance. I mean, just think about the percentage cost. Then you include a car payment, you include a mortgage, or you include rent. What exactly are you supposed to eat on? Especially consider when you have inflation and food. So good reminder, save for retirement. But if you're not and you're already in that, in that environment, they also quote somebody in that Guardian story that you're referencing, quote, "My insurance premium went from $750 in 1999 to a little over $3K last year, before then jumping to $4,678 in 2023, despite the fact that I live in an area that has not been hit by a hurricane in over 100 years, and, quote, I have an itty-bitty house. Luckily, I was able to then get insurance through a state-funded program. This brought my premium down to $2,200 annually." So I think that the answer here is one that, many Ted Cruz people are not going to like. We're going to have some sort of government-sponsored insurance program. And I'm not saying that people won't have to pay. I'm just saying that clearly kicking this to the free market, it's not going to work because they're either straight up scamming seniors in Florida in all these scams, or raising premiums to such an outrageous level that they are untenable for home ownership or for staying in Florida, where, like it or not, a lot of old people live. And if we're going to have, external factors like hurricanes, wildfires, and all these other things become such an impediment to a very basic tenet of living, then you're going to have some sort of program. So it does look like the state has a state-funded program, the Citizen Insurance Program in Florida, the Citizen Property Insurance Corporation, which is a not-for-profit insurer of last resort in the area. We're going to have some federal programs spun up that are at least able to support it. I do like that model, a not-for-profit insurer of last resort, so that people can get private insurance, better insurance if needed, but you can keep an insurance program which is still able to pay out at a competitive or relatively, decent rate, if disaster were to strike, but isn't actually trying to turn a profit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's almost the only answer. Florida does have that fund. They did just limit who is eligible to participate in that insurer of last resort. Colorado legislators have been talking about how residents are calling them, begging for them to institute a similar program because there are parts of Colorado, especially parts that are more wildfire prone, that are completely uninsurable, and you've got residents who are really desperate. California, they have a fund set up as well. But let's be really clear. This is going to be a tremendous cost for states, for taxpayers. If you have a federal government program for, the federal government, this is going to be a huge cost, especially as the climate crisis continues to worsen. I mean, we're in the middle of this massive heat wave. I'm talking about 118 degrees in Phoenix today. We just had these huge floods. And, listen, you can't tie all of these things and say 100% this is because of the climate crisis, but we can see the way that 1 in 100-year floods are coming every year now. You can see the way that these massive catastrophes just fall one on top of another and say, we know that this is not normal from what we've experienced even in the recent past. So it's going to continue to escalate as a major issue and a major cost of not mitigating the climate crisis. And, you're leaving a lot of homeowners high and dry and making it very difficult for them to stay in communities that they have lived in, for literally decades. They're being pushed out right now for lack of any sort of comprehensive plan to really deal with this.
Yeah, I think I do think it's a major cost issue, specifically with the insurance problem in California and in Florida. And, if anything, it's even a bigger problem right now in Florida because Florida has so much net in-migration. So we have a lot of people who are moving to the state. I think that's great, cost of living, all of that, having fun, I guess enjoying the weather. And for those people, though, you need to make it sustainable, especially for newer transplants and for future retirees who have always enjoyed the state. So I think this is really a retirement and age issue as well, to try and make it affordable, because you can't be saddling people up with crazy amounts of debt, in their last years while they're around with us. I think it's really important.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.